And I think I'm already live.
Yeah.
I'm now copying this. And sending it to the room. Let me also, can someone post that on the shout box? And David, maybe you also post it under the blog post.
Are we live, Jorek?
I think we are, yes.
When? Okay, we finally did it.
Welcome everyone to Jorek's Beauty Palace. I have some visitors today. With me is David.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
I'm not sure if we can see you yet because I will now have to operate this here. Now we see you. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
This is David.
From my living room.
And then we shall we just introduce everyone briefly, maybe?
Sure. Then we
let's bring on Dominic. Dominic, say something.
Hi, I'm Dominic. I'm gonna
That's
be
enough. It's enough already.
Okay.
Next, Catweasel.
Hello, Virus Party. Hello.
Right.
Party on.
And we have Juanhurle. Can you say something?
Hi, everybody.
Right. And a brief hello of ggml.
Hello.
Very good. That's all we have for today. And I already forgot the order that we agreed on, David. What was it?
Well, we agreed on, well, we should first say hello to everybody who's watching live, maybe. I hope there's a bunch of people trying to find the right link. I mean, we are a bit late, and we
just
had
as
some,
usual.
Just as usual, we had, of course, some setup problems as usual. But now we found Zoom as a proper solution to share screens and audio. That was the issue here. And with us is, as briefly said, hello. Ion Contenescu is his real name, and he's the only one where we don't have a video. So you have to imagine his beautiful face while he's presenting. And Ion, his username on vvvv is ggml, well known since 2007 around. I think we were briefly talking. We met the first time in 2010, I guess,
Yes.
at Node.
Yes,
Yeah,
true.
so we're starting with your presentation. We're super curious about your works, and it's been a while since we actually, to be honest, I have not a real clue what you're doing in your usual life and also with vvvv. So we're curious about to hear that. And then after that, we have Chris Plant in the queue, Catweasel, also well known since 1980 or something. And after that, Juanhurle, and then Dominic. Yeah? That's the order of appearance. And let's say we have 15 minutes each with a small Q&A. We're watching the Riot chat for the audience worldwide. So if you guys have some questions, please ask there. We're going to watch it and then bring it in our conversation here on Zoom. So Jorek, you're the master of disaster for the Zoom. So please bring on Ion.
Yeah, I think he just has to start talking and then he will come on. And
Yeah,
I will start
okay.
the
Just
timer.
share my screen now.
Perfect. Looking good.
Yes. So thank you for having me here. My plan for tonight is to present a series of works sorted by past to present. It just so happens that I have a new website where I could structure and take a moment to look back and see if there was a kind of direction through the otherwise hectic movement between projects, which in my case happen at a frequency of one project per week, I would say. So there is rarely more time to prepare something more complex. I work in scenography. I call it media scenography, but mostly it's output for scenographic output for events, mainly music events, mainly dance events, but it has moved other directions as well. So can you just tell me if you see my screen now? I don't have the stream on.
It looks good.
It looks good, yes.
Yeah, okay. So the story I'm telling starts 2012 for this image. I've been using vvvv since 2007, but just to skip on several parts. This is 2012 is a time where I was in a studio with two other people that I recommend you should check their work out. It's all written here, Dreamrek and Flori. So with these guys, what happened is we managed to come from three different directions. I was coming from architecture and from architecture, space, work with space. Dreamrek was coming from streaming, from television culture, streaming from the TV scene. And this third guy was coming from grid design, so this hardcore design of ratios, and it's a very deep theme. So it was an interesting point to mix these three directions, and I want to start with a couple of projects that we did as a studio. Then each one went his own way, but that is an important background to mention here. So this is just a mapping of a room that each year we have returned here for maybe 7 years at a yearly event, and each year we could progress from just mapping, drawing things to the latest was just getting a laser scan. So it was a good place to evolve on the same display. Yeah. I will move through what is mostly music events. As I said, this is, and there will be also a point with a patch to certain aspects of this. What you see here is mainly mirror reflections, kaleidoscopic patches, but that can easily move away from what you would expect from this kaleidoscope aesthetic. So maybe a bit more aware. Yeah, this is what you can do in a warehouse without bringing in any content, just using the texture of the walls, just giving it that feeling. Here is a brick by brick approach to video mapping that could lend this very smooth movement animation. This is again the room we return. This is a former casino. Every year we got to do at least one project here, and this is how it looks when we prepare it. This, if you ask me, is maybe what I consider the peak of the collaboration with the studio I was in 2013 or 14, where we could really merge the skills in a meaningful way. The point here is fine-tuning a patch of mirrors of kaleidoscopic, a kaleidoscopic patch. Just the fine-tuning is very important in this work. This type of patches also did unexpectedly well in a club environment, where the projection maybe also is let to flow out onto the people. So this really worked very well. Here is a more mechanical engine type of object for a band. This is a video of an augmented ping pong table that I did in another with other collaborators. Basically, it's what you see here. With of course, it has more levels and such, but basically it was a project when the OpenCV library became available in vvvv. Maybe it was also there earlier. In many of these party situations, you get to work in sunlight in the morning, which is also something to consider and relevant, and you end up using only very smooth gradients to a good effect. This don't ask me about this. It's it's Labor Day, 1st of May, means big festival for us in the seaside of the Black Sea, and it's more like a labor week, and yeah, it's also a place, a recurring place of scenographic needs. What I'm not sure my time. Can you remind me my time now?
You're fine. I haven't checked it, to be honest. But
okay.
We're at 7 minutes.
Yeah, okay, we're halfway through, I think, or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what I want to describe a bit, also show a patch that is in the contributions, is the aspect of pushing pixels. My colleague from the studio, as I said, came from the television broadcasting culture, so he was very aware of the analog cabling, the old Eddy rolls, something that was not so dear to me. But what I could do is emulate all those old feedback tricks in vvvv. It came very natural, and the expression you can get out of playing with the existing shaders is was unexpected. So this is the type of samples that yeah. This is a solution for a large cinema where there was also a music event where we built something like an organ, but only for light video organ. This is the same place, maybe the second year. This is another return to that casino. You can see the Turing patterns of my colleague. He went to describe them in a very essential and clean way. These Turing patterns really bought them in a certain aesthetic. But what I could branch out from this was that Turing patterns are only a special case of effect chains. And there is a lot of possibilities there. This is a quick, this is a rig for a live alternative band for a tour, just minimal scenes, but that where this is the spread of dots. This was very effective in bringing in a planet or something like that. Also, all the reflection patches from DirectX 9. Yeah, and also playing with the color color ramp with ramps, ramping up channels of textures can bring also good, yeah, good effects. This is the patch that I want to show you. I have uploaded it in the last node, I think. It's called Milky Drop. Because it's a reference to the Milky Drop from Winamp. When I started, basically, let me just start it by resetting the frame delay. Okay, so it starts like this, and it needs an activation energy. The dot here, it runs for 10 seconds, and then it stops, and then all the pixels on now preserve themselves. So it's in an equilibrium of 3 nodes that cycle. You can see them here. It's basically a displace and a sharpen, and it's in a state of equilibrium that yeah, it doesn't end. Yeah. So this is the test case, the proof of concept for this effect chains technique, and it can go in many directions without even programming shaders with the existing library. This is what happens if I used also a seed texture for these chains. I got this very intricate details. I mean, yeah. And yeah,
This one is completely indistinguishable from just a recording of water.
yes.
Like,
So it's also in this one. I think it goes. It resembles the geographic, the erosion.
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, this are different articulations of this. It's always moving back and front to the scenographic part with the festival, and yeah, then it went to something more like a lava type. Yeah, this is also based on a seed texture that has orange in it, but yeah, the same one. This was Jan Jelinek in a live scenery. I got to use this patch. It was a nice. His music is also minimal, but the video was the opposed one. And this is what. Sorry. Yeah, this is another example. I got to play this in Atonal some years back via someone from the forum that recommended me. And here is a sequence of 4 pairs of images that I want to suggest that you can work with details that are to be found at different scales of what we see in reality. So maybe this one is more abstract and it's called Planck for me. Then there is a scale at which it resembles biological behavior forms, like a rhizome, I think. Then there is this level at which you can get the shadings similar to water and mud and reflections, but there's no reflection code in it. It's just that the processes are similar to what happens to yeah. And this one on the right, I feel it's also can be more intergalactic dust or something, or the one in the left paint. So different type of effects. Yeah. Another short point that I wanted to make with this church. This is a church in Paris where many promoters get to do their events in a church. It's Saint Mary, and but the thing is, you only get 1 day to work in it. There's no preparation time, and vvvv helped a lot to set it up all in 2-3 hours hectically. Yeah, just with the advent of Rhino for some tracing. Yeah.
That's we are now at 14 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe
yeah.
we should
please
check if we have any questions.
Yes, I'm having a question. Maybe there's a lot of live situations. Wow, that is beautiful there with the stone. Amazing. Yeah, a lot of live experiences. How do you do sequencing and presets usually?
What I found out is that I don't really want the video to be too much in sync with the music. It's rather doing this more subtle ballet between the rhythms of what is to be heard. So having it out of sync is more effective than aligning the whole thing. Also, I rarely use any MIDI helpers, MIDI interfaces. It's rather something that more Fluxus based, more yeah, it's not very synced.
Yeah. So there's a lot, like most of these projects, you're basically providing visuals to any sort of auditive concert situations, right?
Yes, yes,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're doing this, did I understand it correctly? You're doing this with your studio or as
the
an
studio,
artist?
no. There was a period between 2009 and 2008 and 2014 that there I was in a studio with 3 people. After that, it was only a project-based collaboration. So that's why I'm also not very Git aware, because I don't have really people to share this with. It's mostly I'm the vvv node in projects.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if the world sees this, the question that pops up in everyone's head is, are you available for hire?
This is what I do. So most of the time I'm available for hire, yes.
And where would people best contact you?
Under ggml.io.
So basically on this website, and then
yes,
they will find
it's
the
where it's where I put my work inside, and 95% of all of this is vvv. So yeah,
cool.
Thank you for that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. I don't think there's any question online now.
Yeah.
Maybe we should wait.
Just thanks for
If they're popping up, I'm gonna write them down and we can sort it out later as well.
Any of the panelists with a question? Kat, Juan, Dominic?
No, not that I can think of now. Thanks.
Just going to say, I love the grass.
Yeah, it's
that's what I want to say. Yeah, it's great.
Can you talk about the grass thing?
Yeah.
I can talk about it. It's not really much to say. It's not mapped as the people suggested. It's just a laser that does certain shapes, and the organic field comes from just the sections. So nature does most of the stuff.
Very good.
So it's just wind blowing through the grass and with a
well, no, it was a sinus wave blowing to the grass from the laser.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting compliments here online. Micronova says George's work. We have Micro D is saying he loves Milky Drop. And U7 Angel is saying cool stuff. And lots of applause.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for having me make this presentation. It was my first ever. So
yeah, it's really cool to have you finally on to show something.
Very cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully more at Node. Be prepared with your presentations.
Yes. Looking forward for Node.
So maybe you,
either way,
if you want, you can stay with us and like if you
I will. Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay, I will just mute everyone again. And who's on? Was it Catweasel?
Catweasel is next.
So Cat, if you would just start sharing your screen.
I have to wait until he stops sharing his.
Okay, wait, I can stop him.
Okay, lovely.
So now, if you start it.
Jolly good, can you see that?
Yes.
Jolly
yes,
good.
we do.
So I'm going to show you, this is a patch I made in vvvv rather than VL. And this is as far as I got it in V4. And it's basically presetting scenes. So you can preset all of your controllers and hit a button and it goes to that setting. And then I also added a timeline with various stuff in it. There's another little one. So it's for when you've got a patch and you've got a lot of controllers that you need to try and wrangle, and it gets a little bit over wieldy. But it also works for variety of different projects. And so I've been rebuilding this in VL. Thank you very much to Jorik for doing the RCP in the first place, which has made it much easier, and then also building the preset patch for the start of it. And so the idea is you have a separate tab for each patch and one for all, so that's like a global preset. And you can either, oh, I'm gonna just, oops, just get into that.
Do you see, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
It's pretty blurry on my end.
Ah, right, okay.
I don't know why this is. Jorik, do you have some settings for him? No.
No.
Or maybe it's just the connection. Well, now it's getting a bit better. But
we'll keep it still for a moment, because it's mostly not going to be doing very much. So hopefully most of the screen's still, and it'll be fine. So the idea is here that you can tweak parameters within v4, or you can tweak parameters in the GUI, and then you can save them with a click, and you can name them as well, just so you can see what you're doing. And if I go to a patch, so as we can see, I'm clicking one button and then it's doing a whole lot of stuff, but you can still play with it live. So it's giving you set points. They could always be get out of jail points if you're doing a live set, or a specific part of a specific song and you go to scene 16. I've also got it so you can isolate channels. So for this example, I'm just putting colors in and it's not changing any other parameters. And then I've got a timeline as well, which I've built, which is just doing, basically it's just triggering these presets in an order. I've got fades and tweening on every parameter that can fade or tween. And I can also save presets of sequences. And so that's pretty much is what's going on. In fact, with this one, you should be able to kind of jam over the top of a sequence that's running, because these patches don't have any color as part of the patch. And also you can see here, Aaron?
I'm not sure if people can already follow and understand what they're seeing. So on the left side, we see vvvv beta, which is doing the rendering, and also the renderer that we see, DirectX renderer, that is coming from the patches vvvv beta. But then we see this control interface. And this one is rendered in VL's here.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, I would have this rendered into here, but I can't do it yet. So at some point when we've got texture sharing, hopefully I'll get, because I mean, ideally it's, I was using it for mapping. So you can see your scene that you're mapping in 3D and you can move around it in your GUI. So it was an easy way of doing large mappings where you can't actually see everything you're projecting on or see all the LEDs that you're using. And so it's a way of building scenes and times and timelining stuff. It's also about pre-visualizing your patches on the actual objects they're going to get, or not the actual objects, but in a scene that's similar to the real world. So it's control for all sorts of things, from mappings to installations to VJ sets. And it seems to work quite well in all of them, or it certainly did in the V4 version, but there were some issues with that, which is why it never got fully released. It was.
But that's what you also showed at Node 15,
yes,
probably it was, right?
Yeah. So that was basically, this one I started showing first of all. So this is a big LED mapping. So huge LED sphere. These are bits of building that had some LED strips in it. From where I was sitting, I couldn't even see half of this. I could see like a little bit of this sphere. But it was just being able to pre-visualize things. I've got quite obsessed with not just building the patches that are going to do the pretty, but also being able to see the pretty while I'm doing it. So yeah, and it's a way of trying to rationalize how you deal with many channels, because as you can see in the other image that I had, but I zoomed too far out. This one, the channels go off the side. You know, there's I don't know how many channels, 70, 80 channels.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us a very simple example where you set one keyframe on a time frame on the timeline, and then another keyframe on the timeline?
Yep. Okay.
And then
I'll just get rid of these. So you can just double click and then you get keyframe, which you can drag around, or you can put it into record, set it playing, and then just start putting keyframes in and in different patches. And then those
because I think like the quality is now again very bad.
Oh, right, okay.
So tell us a bit, like you're now changing values on the vvvv beta side, right?
Yes.
Just
so
in the patch. You're just changing a value in the patch.
Yeah.
And as you do this, a keyframe pops up.
No, so I'm recording presets. So first thing you do is to record presets. So in here we you know, make it look a bit different if we can. So, and then recording a preset.
So you're tweaking the parameters and then you say store.
I'm storing it in number 28 there, and then I'll turn it up and put it in 29. And then I can just click on them and it'll recall those parameters here in the patch, but you can also see them changing over in the v4 patch over here as well.
And how is the timeline connected then to those presets? And how do you put parameters in the timeline?
The timeline is literally triggering presets for you. So it's pushing button 5 here, button 6 here.
I see.
And it's doing it per patch, but then there's also an overarching all, so you can do everything, changing everything all at once. So it can control all of the patches all at once, an individual patch or an individual parameter within a patch. And whoops, do that. Oh, I've got
yeah, you lost your screen share.
Sorry, there we go. Try again. Click the wrong button. And so you can put fades and do tweenings in here as well, just using the tweener.
And this is using RCP, the Rabbit Control Protocol.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So that means you can actually run this on a separate machine.
Yes.
You can run the control interface on a separate machine from the actual vendor machine. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, in situations where your actual server that's serving all the graphics to all the projectors is somewhere else, you can sit there with a network connection and trigger stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and you know, the plan is to be able to control multiple PCs with multiple graphics running differently on each PC, and then control them all from a central hub. So it's basically D3, but it's done in D4. You know? And well, in fact, it's D3 and Notch combined and done in V4.
Yeah, yeah. Let me bring in now the other panelists again. I'm unmuting everyone just to see if any of them has a question.
So first of all, it looks really nice, really cool. I just wanted to know that currently it's already technically possible to share the image into the SCIA renderer through CPU, but if you put it into async loop, then you can sort of get something without an extreme performance penalty. So you can at least see some things from the DirectX renderer, but it's not perfect. I mean, I'm running into the same issues, so I'm looking forward to some spout connection or something.
there's two ways of doing it. With the V4 patch, I had it running so that I could overlay the graphics of the GUI on top of the output and then see the output. And then I also did it the other way around, where the graphics and the output come into the GUI patch. I prefer getting it into the GUI patch, but the idea is to try and make it as low an overhead as possible. The idea is that you can run a VR application over 90 frames a second without having to have all the finanglings of your GUI taking CPU away. So it's trying to separate the two tasks, so you're not, we've got more cores and we've got, processing within the core. So, but yeah, hopefully with Zenko we'll be able to get the texture into, well, either do it in Zenko and it's in there already, or spit it out of V4 and into Zenko and then present it in the ski event renderer. That's certainly the idea in the end. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, this is a work in progress. Yeah. So, cool. Do we have any questions from the worldwide audience? I don't see any.
It's not a question, it's a hint. Micrody is suggesting to try out imgui. I don't know anything about it.
It's a C++ library for UIs. Like there, you just write code that updates every loop, and it gives you buttons and windows and things. That Micrody started making this library for V4 that kind of uses imgui, and I mean it provides most like for a interface like this. I think it could work very well, and it's all in DirectX, so you can have it implemented inside. I think
I don't code, so that's not going to happen. Oh, come on.
I think that there is a work in progress vvvv library for it. Otherwise, it's C++, but like with the repo, it's possibly fine.
One other thing I will say, because I've got a frame rate thing in here, and I've got snapping. I'll just go to here. So I am wondering about using it as a audio sequencer as well at some point. Oops, because you can change the frame rate. It keeps all the keyframes in the same place, but you just get different snapping points that you're snapping to. So I think it could work as a MIDI sequencer at some point as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we will move on, but we will get, I guess, an update of this at some point. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to share it as soon as I can, because I need more input. So cool. Okay, I'll stop that. Cool. Thank you. Much.
Chris. Thank you.
And who was next? Well, it was Juan.
Juan, yeah.
My turn.
Cool. I will unmute the other ones again.
Juan, where are you actually at the moment?
I am in Berlin, in my house.
That's very amazing. So around the corner.
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually very close to your headquarters.
That's good.
So we met Juan for the first time when he joined us for one of the workshops that we were running in Berlin, over like last summer, I guess. You just showed up out of nowhere to one of the workshops, and really we don't know much about you. Only I was following a bit your Vimeo account, and you were posting very nice little snippets of audiovisual things that you're working on, and I was hoping you could talk a bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you guys seeing my screen somehow?
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
Not yet. Am I not sharing it?
Are you?
Yeah, okay. I will move
coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, my name is Juan. I'm based in Berlin, and I do different kinds of interactive work, but I actually don't have a background on programming or arts or anything like this. I just do this for fun, basically, because I like it. And I work in a school. I teach some workshops on computing for kids using the programming language Scratch, and I do some music work, and yeah, and then I do patches in vvvv, which is what I'm going to show you today. So basically, what I'm going to talk about today is I would like to show you this patch here. I don't know if you guys have seen it, which is what I've been working on for quite a while, and I think it's the most good-looking work that I've done. So I'd like to talk about it. So this is basically all done on vvvv using ray marching, using a fantastic library by Kyle McDonald. Thank you, Kyle. Field Trip, which is mind-blowing, I would like to say. And yeah, so I would like to show you maybe the evolution of this patch. This is currently, if you're seeing on my screen, the latest look of the renderer. And this is some previous versions of the same thing. So maybe I show you first one of the first iterations.
Can I have a quick question? It seems you having actual prints of your.
I do, yes, indeed.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, okay, I'll show you. Yeah, I made some prints. That's the thing. It's what I do with vvvv is I explored sound reactive graphics. Basically, I come from the sound background, so I'm trying to make things that either move or react to sound in different ways. So I've been working with this patch for quite a long time, and somehow after, I don't know, 5-6 years, I have like a system where I can make prints, I can make videos, I can really work with this kind of field, yeah, with field trips, with distance fields. Yeah. So yeah, let me show you some tiny videos of this. This all started with this video. Can you hear the sound? Or?
Oh,
I don't hear anything now.
it's a little bit, but it's not loud.
Maybe it's with
Yeah, yeah, better.
Yeah. Whoa. So
And
yeah,
you're doing the sound as well as the video.
No, for these videos, I'm basically feeding in sound that I like from musicians that I listen to. And in the current state of the patch, I basically have a modular synthesizer connected to it. And it's basically feeding the system all the time. And what I aim to create is a performance system, which allows me to make, I don't know, prints or videos or performances, you know, everything at the same time.
But did you say at the beginning that you're coming from sound? Or?
Well, I have a degree in biology, and then I studied sound and interactive media. So yes, I do come from sound. I've been making music for some time, and I've run some labels. So yeah, I guess what I meant is I don't have an artistic or computer science background of any kind. Yeah, it's just for fun. So yeah, I'll show you another one. I don't know if you've seen it. This is the next iteration of the same thing. maybe you get the idea. I don't want to run over the time. And yeah, and after this, I mean, I started using color, and I don't know, should I maybe show a couple of more versions and then go into the patch, or?
Yeah, we are at 5 minutes now, so we have time.
Yeah, okay, cool. Then, yeah, I'll show you one of these, which I like. It's just short.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have the chance to turn up the volume a bit more?
Yes, I think I can turn it up a bit more.
The one with the erosion?
Sorry?
The one with the erosion? Maybe you can show that also?
The one with the erosion, you mean?
Yes. I
This
mean,
one?
these ones, yeah. One of these, I mean, I thought this really looks nice.
Yeah, this is like
Instagram.
Yeah, thanks. This is like the latest version of the same thing, and I think it's the one that looks the best. And this. Oh man, so much sound. Yeah, I think we covered it.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's also a lot of compliments coming from the cyberspace here. Cool.
Yeah, and now the last thing is the last version is this. I mean, I don't have videos yet of it, but I'm starting to work with the kind of the metal-looking materials, and yeah, I mean, what you can do with ray patching is incredible. So maybe I don't know how much time I have left, but maybe I go on and show the patch a little bit.
Yeah, we have 7 minutes left.
Yeah, cool. Then, yeah. So this is the patch. It's been thoroughly cleaned up before this meeting. So behind the scenes is extremely messy and horrible, but you probably get the idea. So this is based all on field trip on this library by Everyone is Happy. It's doing ray marching, and I will feed some sound in a second so we can see what it does. Hold on, let's do this quick. I'm going to put some sounds from. Okay, I think we're having some issues here. I think with the streaming, it's not really running at proper rates, I would say. Does it look very stuttered to you guys?
No.
It's okay. No, you can see it.
Okay, because
It's
I mean,
synced. It's okay.
to me it looks very slow somehow, but yeah, I'll yeah. So I will just move some parameters around so you can see what it does. Maybe I can stop and just explain a little bit how it works. I don't know if it looks fluid to you guys, because to me it looks very slow and stutter. So I don't know if it's because of the stream or what, but
yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have the 60 frames here, but it's fine. It looks amazing. We can imagine this to be smooth.
yeah, it moves actually very smooth. But yeah, it actually moves to your voice, to someone's voice. So
Chuck.
yeah,
That's cool.
it does.
Yeah, super.
So yeah, what this does is I have two types of ray marching. The one's built in on the field trip library that allows you to do just basic ray marching without shading and without materials and reflections and stuff, which is this. That should look now, which is the one that I was using for the first experiments, and then now I'm using the metal-based one. And I have a series of things, of modules that you can see here. First, I have some generators that allow me to create different shapes. Like, for example, let's put the fractal container. It should take some time, but should load. Yeah, we have a fractal that should move. And yeah, I can basically, all the parameters that I have to manipulate this thing, I can map to either controls from MIDI controller, from input from the actual faders of the program, or from any sound parameters. The trickiest question for something like this is the sound analysis. This is using like the 4th version of the sound analyzer, and this one is the shittiest one, sorry, because of in order to do it online. But normally it runs through MaxMSP on an Ableton computer, which gives me the analysis and feeds it through OSC to the other computer, which is making the video. And that way it actually moves much smoother. And yeah, I have some generators and some effects, and I can really destroy the way things look here. It takes a lot of time to load between modules, so this is not something that you can really use on a live situation. But yeah, it can really do a lot of interesting stuff. Wait, give me a sec. So yeah, I can add a lot of different types of noise in the front and fractal, so it becomes kind of, yeah, makes an error there. And yeah, maybe I put some more sound so it moves. I don't have to. Whoa.
Now it's really choppy. No, before it was more fluid.
Before it was more fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the way I'm feeding the sound to it. So it's kind of tricky to feed the sound and feed you guys the sound at the same time to everything. So it's yeah, maybe like this is a bit better. Whoa.
There's a question from Guido.
Okay.
He's asking if you got it right that the sound analyzer is running in Maximus P usually.
Usually,
what
yes.
You said, right?
On the normal system that I run on my studio, yes. That's in order to separate also the process between the two computers, because this one is already quite forced in the graphics for doing all this stuff. So I'd rather have the sound analysis doing in a separate computer. And that also allows me to have multi-track. So I can separate between drums or synths or different kind of sounds, because you cannot really do with one sound analyzer for all the range of possible sounds. That's just not working. FFT is great, but you need to kind of cut the interesting parts for you. So that's the biggest challenge for doing something like this. You know, it's just to get the parts of the sound right in order to feed your system, and not everything like a big shower of sound, basically. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions you guys want to ask something.
I would have a question.
Yeah.
In regard to the second renderer, the PBR one, is it something that also comes in any of the packs?
Yes, it does. It's I think it comes 3 renderers from Ray Martin, the basic, the 3-plane something, and the other one. So one of them allows you to have all of this. I am currently working on writing my own one, but that's going to take me forever because I'm not really a really fast or good programmer at all. But I want to add some things. This shader doesn't have lights, doesn't have, it has shadows, but only on itself. So in order to have more complex scenes, you need to kind of add some extras to it.
Yes.
And this I will do at some point.
Thanks.
Okay, we are just in time, I guess.
I have one more question. I mean, it's not regarding vvvv maybe, but you're in the beginning you were saying you don't have an artistic nor a programming background. What is your background then? And what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, my academic background is from biology. I did study biology in university, and somehow I didn't like that so much. So I moved to England and studied sound design for 3 years. And then I did a master's degree on interactive media, which is probably the closest to programming that I've been taught. But I actually, I mean, all that I know, the little that I know, I really learned by myself. So I've used, I don't know, different things like Maximus P for many years, vvvv. I've used a little bit of Touch Designer, processing, open frameworks, all of that. And somehow vvvv is the one that stays after the years, like stable here.
Good to hear that.
Okay, I think we should move on.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. This
Thank you so much. Clapping
very
hands.
interesting.
Thank you.
Get to know your work. Cool. So we move on to our final presenter. That will be domj. And yeah, you just tell us what you're talking about.
Okay. Hi. Dominic again, domj. I've been using v4 for about 4 years, and I help with a lot of installations, realized technical support, and lately I've been working on a software called Schema. But now I want to talk mostly about only one part that came with it, since it's something that's done in VL, and I wanted to make it into sort of feel like a proper standalone app. So it should have, you know, look and feel like an app on your desktop, have a proper icon, remember sort of the window bounds, make sure you don't quit it by accident, and all these kind of little details, but that kind of help the experience. So I just wanted to show how this can be done in VL, and I took the opportunity to sort of refactor some of the code from the schema project into its own VL file, and I will probably release that soon. With this, which is something that makes it quite easy to just add these few functionalities to a Skia renderer in VL. So I guess I will start sharing my screen. Will be here.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Good.
Everyone can see me well. So just as an example, so this is sort of the end product that you can get. Okay, it takes a second to load. It's the biggest thing, but basically you get the proper icon and the taskbar in that. Also the renderer itself, the windows have the right icon because it's two separate things. There's titles you can set if let's say now I have it as a full screen app and I close it, it will ask me if I really want to close it. If I start it again, it will again be full screen, basically the previous settings. So that's something that you sort of get partially for free in VL, that the render remembers the bounds, but it's something that only works when you're running inside the Gamma IDE, not when you export the app, because the way it works in VL is that the bounds settings just get saved in the patch. So what basically, so I think I'll just show step by step what these things are and how to add them and then how it works. For this, I made these sort of helper nodes. Where are they? Yeah. So bounce reader, which the whole point here is to serialize the bounds of the render on change and read them back from a file. If the file doesn't exist, use some initial settings. So this is what this sort of pair of bounce reader and bounce writer does. And let's say I will just set it like, or maybe start it first without that, which will work fine, but actually it doesn't support full screen properly, resuming even. You can see that the title here is not as it should be. So so with these two nodes, this adds the functionality of serializing the bounds. Just have to set some file. Let's say bounds 2. Let's do XML. And this needs to be connected to here, and yeah, like this. It's a bit of a circle, but now it's actually loading from the file, and each time it changes, I can maybe show that. Except where it is, right? See, now every time the render moves, the position gets saved. So next time it loads up, it loads up in the same space. And with full screen should work properly now. I've restarted the VL, it works. What is happening is that here is the scale renderer provides a bounce changed observable that tells you when something changed, and whenever there's a change, the new bounce gets saved, and also the full screen property of the scale renderer that you can read gets saved, and the bounce reader then applies these settings back to the render. There was a little bug with the behavior of the full screen, so it's just delayed by a frame, but that's usually not a problem. And that way you get this. As for the icons, as I said, there's one icon is for the render itself. Yes, we need to set an icon path. So if you have some ICO file, let's say this. Then you can see here that's already set. It doesn't show up here because the controls are not shown by default, which are shown in exported app, not shown here. They can be shown. And all these functions are going to be showing from now on are mainly dealing with the Windows Forms form object, which the render provides you with, because the scale render object itself is actually a Windows form control. So you can use any functions from that apply to Windows Forms to the renderer. So basically, this is just going from the assembly Windows form, and we can also put this set control box, which is okay. That's a bit big. Started. Well, should show it here, but let's say it doesn't work. And so, and the next thing is to have the icon show as the application thing, for which you actually, this is something that happens at the export. It's something that's set in the Visual Studio solution. So I already pre-exported the application here, and basically all you need to do is just go to the main sort of project in the solution, if you open up Visual Studio, if you have it. And in application, you have icon and manifest, where there's
Dominic, yeah. Can I briefly interrupt you at this stage? I think we should maybe mention at this point, how do you get to that solution even? Like... Okay, so let me roll back a bit. Thanks for that. Maybe I'll just close it. Let's say I can export this. It doesn't take so long. So basically from since vvvv gamma, was it 219.2 or something, you are able to export your VL patches as executable applications by pressing F9, or I think here is where is it? Application, yeah, export.
And then you can press export, and here you will see the export directory. You can also press explore output, and it will bring you to the folder where all the exports go. And in the source folder, you have the solutions of your exported projects, which in this case is the renderer form settings solution. Let's just wait for it to finish. Even though it's a build process, it probably shouldn't be an issue to open it now. So maybe let's just, and when the solution opens,
so to explain this, the solution is basically just a side product of the export. You can say that. You can say it like that.
You can say it like that, but it provides you with actual C# code that you could modify if you needed, if you knew how to go through all the VL auto-generated code. But here we're really just interested in the icon that is set from the build process from vvvv gamma automatically to the vvvv gray icon. But in Visual Studio, we can override the setting of the solution to have your own icon. And when you export that, then you end up with let's see this. Yeah, now, oh, it's the source still. Then you end up with the application having the icon and just the executable feeling like that. And when you also have the icon in the renderer, then you get it on the window. And furthermore, and it also loaded in some pre-save state. So we have that, which should be some proper path. You could be using the application path node to save it next to the executable, or use the, what is it, user directory. I'm not sure which node it is for the directories of special system directories, like documents and such.
Is it system directory or special directory?
System folder.
System folder.
So kind of these two nodes are can be useful in saving the settings in some proper place, like user documents or user app data or such. And last thing I wanted to show was the prevent closing sort of deal. So let's say basically here's the little VL document that wraps a few of the form functions, and here's I call it set close handler, but basically the form control that you get emits an event when the user tries to close it, and you can listen to that. And when it also provides you with the cancel event arguments inside the event, which you're able to set cancel on, and that way it will prevent the closing from happening. And here you could show your dialog. It would have to be blocking, or just cancel it outright and handle it in some other way. So I will set it here. Set close handler, and prepare this dialog close handler. that just wraps the Windows function of sort of show, which can show a message box, sort of your standard yes, no, cancel kind of message boxes with some information text. So you can choose sort of what kind of dialogue it's going to be, and which option is going to prevent the closing. So it would be, let's say, cancel and yes, no, cancel. Yeah, I can increase this. And set your text, let's say, you could set that. And now it will show the dialog, but it will actually close the render. This, for some reason, doesn't work when it's not exported, but when you export it, it will work properly, prevent the closing, and that way. So if I re-export that, it's currently running. Okay. Now after the exporting is finished, it should properly prevent the closing. And this set icon, you can also, if you want to be playful, you can change it on runtime to sort of show different states of the application. Let's say we had some 2 icons. And switching between them with a simple LFO when my computer wakes up from being silly. Yeah, well, it's not happening now.
Okay, meanwhile, I'm
Yeah.
already bringing in the panelists and unmuting them and seeing if they have any question. And also, if anyone in the chat rooms has any questions, bring them on now. And is your machine recovering?
Well, it seems my machine is fine, but vvvv is not recovering. But I can just, I will close it, and I have it saved as a whole project. So, oh, now it recovered. Interesting. Yeah, that happens a lot. It just recovers when you close it.
Do we have any questions meanwhile?
Just a comment. That is getting way over 15 minutes, says Michael D.
I forgot to put a time. Anyway, so you can, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we see it. It's switching nicely. Cool.
Those functionalities, are you able to share them with the community?
Yeah, before today, it was kind of part of my whole UI patch, but now I put it in a separate patch and probably will put it in a NuGet. There's like, it's really just depends on the Windows component, so there's no reason not to do it.
Cool.
Really cool.
That's good.
Great.
I think we don't have any questions at this point.
Oh, right. Just forgot also for the functionality of keeping a window on top. That's also something that Windows Forms provide, and also other things. So you can see here, if I click here, you can set it on top, which I think currently is not a default functionality of the scale renderer. But in beta, it's very common to just do Control-T, and then you have all your renderers above while you work. So also with this, you can enable always on top. You can hide your borders, do whatever, however you need.
Very nice.
Super cool.
So we're going to see this at some point, probably in the VIP section, or even as a nugget.
Yeah, as a nugget, and
Yeah.
I guess in the VIP, in the work in progress section, because I don't really see any other place to put Gamma patches and projects currently. As
No,
like
it's still a place to be until we have a more proper contribution space thing.
yeah, so in the WIP.
Cool. So I guess thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Kat, Juan,
for inviting us.
ggml, thank you so much for joining us
you.
here. I think it went okay for the first meeting.
Yeah, it feels pretty natural,
Yeah.
conversation like this.
We don't have to meet anymore in real life. I think that's done now.
The only thing I'm really sort of missing is like live handshaking from the audience out there. It's a bit delayed, but well, we'll see how this goes and where this. We'll do this again.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, the Zoom theoretically supports up to like 50 or 100 people.
Yeah, so we could
Maybe it can be
next time
tried, like everyone
Yeah, we
there.
can try to find the limits. Okay.
All right. Thank you
Cool,
so much.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
good
you very
night.
much.
See you. See you
you.
around.
Next
Bye-bye.
time. Ciao.
Bye.